Saga is growing popularity in today's pop culture. So popular that according to the Hollywood Reporter, Twilight Breaking Dawn, the most recent movie in the series, has grossed over $500 million in 12 days. This franchise has also grown about an infamous question for young teens and adults, Team Edward or Team Jake. We've all heard of vampires being inspired by the infamous Vlad the Impaler, but where exactly did the idea of werewolfism, also called lycanthropy, come from? Werewolf mythology has spanned all over time and as well as all over the world. There has actually been various cases throughout the world as well. And there's a reason that we love these creatures besides Jacob being Jacob. The idea of half man, half beast has a long, vast history. The mythology spans all over the globe and throughout time. According to Dr. Curran, he's an author and advisor for several government organizations. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest text known that has werewolves in it. It was created in ancient Mesopotamia, which was around 3000 to 2000 BCE, and this text is even assigned in some history classes at Northern Illinois University. In this story, the goddess Ishtar was hitting on Gilgamesh, the main character, and he rejected her because she ended up turning one of her previous lovers into a wolf. Not only in Mesopotamia is it popular, but also in U.S. Native American culture. Constantinos is a paranormal researcher, and he states that the Navajo tribe actually believes in skinwalkers. These skinwalkers are actually sorcerers from the tribe, and they wear animal skins during their rituals. They use werewolf form in order to travel and then to create a tuberculosis powder to deliver to their enemies, which is made from ingredients such as a man's finger and a girl's tongue. With the various cultures having werewolf mythology, people have been accused of being werewolves throughout history as well. There have been numerous cases, such as similar to the Salem witch trials that Constantinos has written on. In Germany, in the year 1589, Peter Stuke was on trial for this very charge. He admitted to summoning the devil and receiving a belt made of fur that could transform him into a werewolf. His victims were often found mangled and unrecognizable, to include men, women, and children. He ended up being stretched up on a wheel where his bones were broken. His skin ended up being torn by pincers over in a dozen places on his body. He was decapitated, and for a grand finale, his body ended up being burned. In later years, 1603, Jean Grenier was also accused of being a werewolf for attacking children and killing them as well. Grenier was merely 13 to 14 years old and boasted the fact that he could become a werewolf and attack children. When he was convicted, his rationale for it is because he went into the forest and was able to get a fur and magic powder from a dark man. This punishment for this teenage murder was, as you guessed it, a confinement to a local monastery for the rest of his life. Now, in today's society, werewolves such as Jacob from Twilight and Lucien from Underworld are growing in popularity. According to Emily Santa, a writer on werewolves and vampires in pop culture, the reason for this attraction is simple. Women are attracted to the aspect of werewolves being the ultimate bad boy, the dangerous man women love to hate. They cannot control their physical aggression, often lashing out, and they have a constant inner conflict. But in today's media, werewolves are sympathetically portrayed, such as Professor Lupin from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, as well as Jacob from Twilight, who, according to my sister, has awesome abs. Men are attracted to the idea of escaping the bonds of humanity. These actions allow normally taboo actions to become acceptable in society, and the monster we have within us is always allowed to come out. Werewolf heroes always find a way to integrate both wolf and human natures, which allows them to become complete human beings. With Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 coming out soon, it's important to remember some things. First off, Jacob is appealing not only because of his abs, but because he's sympathetically portrayed and be considered the ultimate bad boy. Secondly, the mythology and history of his tribe can go far back, all the way to ancient Mesopotamia and beyond. And finally, like various court cases in the past, one can become a victim to a werewolf. Much like Emily fell victim to Sam's aggression and claws in the series Twilight.